Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. So I'm not used to doing videos that are throwaway videos because I'm hallucinating paper clips, which is for a number of reasons I'm not going to get into in this video, that wind up doing better than anything I've done on this channel for 13 years. That's not usually what occurs. But it did. I figured that video would get the viewership of when I upload Maria's puppy, like 10K views, whatever. It's a puppy, we move on. What am I trying to get done here? On this channel 7 years ago, there's a video I uploaded where I said it's 99% inspiration, 1% legislation. What I meant when I did that video is you have to change minds before you can actually change the law. And more importantly, even when you do actually get the law changed, which we have together done on this channel, whether we're talking about a bill that passed in New York State, a bill that passed in Minnesota, California, Colorado, which again, would have never happened without the help of all emailing and calling in when I asked you to, donating to the lobbying efforts, and making your friends and family aware. Even when those things pass, sometimes they don't even get listened to if there isn't enough pushback, if there are not enough people that care. One instance of this would be in California. There's a law that passed that I think is great. It says that if you're selling a product in the state and you offer a lifetime license, but that can be taken away at any given time, you can't do that anymore. That's false advertising. That's illegal. I tested that law to see if it worked, again, with the help of all of you. And we figured out that that law is not real. Now we'd like to start a campaign to try and figure out how can we get this law actually enforced? How can we start to push the ball forward so that legislators understand how ownership is being eroded? And that doesn't necessarily happen unless people are actually aware of the problem, understand that it's a problem, and above all, feel like if they speak up about it, they're not wasting their time. There's this concept called slacktivism, and you'll see it come up on websites where people are more concerned with punching down than they are with actually trying to clean up their own corner of the world, because one of them is easy and one of them is not. Slacktivism means doing nothing, and I can imagine the type of person that is using that type of word to insult you because you change your profile picture to a Clippy is the same kind of person who's going to say, well, what's the point of putting your key in your car? That's not going to get you to work. Yeah, but it's a prerequisite, you fuck. The point of the matter here is that over the last 7 to 10 years of trying to advocate for right to repair and 13 years on YouTube, the one thing I've noticed that is the biggest cancer to any type of activism is apathy and believing that you're alone. That even if you are not apathetic, even if you are willing to fight for what you believe in, that you are the only one, so you're not going to get anywhere. And the weird thing is, no matter how many times I disprove this, no matter how many times I say, look what happens when 10,000 of you email in, we get a bill. Look at what happens when you email in and do this. Look at what happens when you participate here. People still believe that it's hopeless. They're not going to create any sort of real world change. And what I was hoping to do is get a different outcome if people realize that there are other people that think like them. There are other people that are actually willing to do something. I don't plan on just having you people turn your profile pictures to a Clippy to just do that. Like that by itself doesn't do shit. What I plan on doing is getting each of you to realize that if you work together, things happen. I'll give you an example. Not the best analogy. Let's say that we're dealing with cars. There's this thing called following distance, at least in theory. In Texas, God knows how they drive. In theory, there's something called following distance for safety. So if I'm at a red light, I'm the fifth car. When the light turns green, I don't start moving immediately. The first car moves, and then after he's maybe like 1 or 2 cars following distance, again, in theory, we're in Texas here, the second car will then start driving. Then after that car is a little bit further away, the third car starts driving, and so on and so forth. There's a following distance. And because of that, while the first car is moving, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the eighth, they're all not moving. And with heavy traffic, it gets worse and worse and worse. What if there was a way to have 0 following distance and still drive safely? Let's just assume that that was possible. Everybody would start moving at the same time. That's what I'm trying to do here. I want all of you to move at the same time. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you work at a national grocery store chain or a national department store that is very, very popular. And they have these little wheelchair carts for people who are elderly or disabled to be able to get around the store and shop. I've seen these from time to time. Let's say that this thing costs, I'm just going to throw $10,000 per. And let's say that when the power button breaks, the company that comes by to fix it wants $8,000 or $9,000. So a lot of them are broken. Now, if you're just the employee who's there and you're listening to the repair person come by and go over this, you may not care. Now, let's say you've watched my channel for a little bit and you've gotten into right to repair and you've made things work again that the manufacturer said would cost $2,000. You got it to work for $20 and you felt the excitement that I hope you felt when I put the channel banner fan spin and started doing those 1,000 repair videos. You may think, nah, that's kind of bullshit. I don't like that. But you may not tell your manager about it if you don't think your manager is going to care. Even if you tell your manager about it because your manager cares, your manager may not care if the purchaser that chooses which of those chairs that they buy is not going to care. Even if the purchaser says, let's see if we could find somebody else, even if it costs $100 or $200 more for the chairs, it's worth it if we're able to fix them. He may not care if the board of directors is not going to care. But if all of them know at the same time that we're on the same page, we are tired of living in an anti-ownership society. Check. We're tired of living in a society where we subscribe to everything and we own nothing. Check. We're tired of being told it costs $8,000 to fix a fucking power button. Check. Because by the way, in the medical industry, something similar to that. In this video I go over, there's a $35,000 hospital bed. And when the little motor dies, that's like $250 or $500. They got to replace the whole thing for $35,000. Anyway, that's an aside. If every single one of these people were not only on the same page, but knew they were on the same page, maybe each one in the chain would speak up when they otherwise wouldn't. And when they're all moving together and all working together, what happens? They choose a different vendor. And the vendor that was screwing everybody with repair and going, oh yeah, $8,000 to fix it when the power button dies, gets fucked. That's the point. That's what I want to have happen here. It's not about changing your photo to a Clippy and doing nothing else. It's about letting everybody around you know when the time comes in my personal life, I will do something. Now, a lot of people have asked, okay, I changed my photo. What's next? What do I do now, Louis? You're going to have to let me finish, okay? I promise. I'm going to play with you in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Let me finish the damn video. This is one example that I want to go over. I can't give you the company name and everything. I'm sworn to secrecy here, but a viewer emailed me and said that the new management of this company, one of the people asked, when we're working on this, we wanted to make it so that if you upgrade to a new firmware version, that you cannot downgrade to an older one. Right now, on this particular smart device, you can downgrade to an older one. The management asked, can you make it so you can't downgrade to an older one? Now, I'll let you all guess, after watching my channel for as long as you have, why this particular company wants to keep people after changing the management to downgrading the firmware. They want to be able to lock people out of the device and the features that they're probably going to paywall off in the future. He said, no, I don't want to do that. After asking why, they didn't give a good answer, and he said, I don't want to do it. Now, could he get fired? Absolutely. Could the entire programming team get fired? They can, and they can all get replaced. But if you're taking over a new company, there's a lot that could go wrong during that transitionary phase. And you want to have the least amount of bumps in the road possible. A programmer saying, I'm not going to do that you then have to fire to replace, is a bump in the road. Is one bump in the road going to stop everything? No. Is 1,000? Maybe. Or a few million? Probably. That's what I'm going for. I want to fast track things that help the consumer, that bring us towards a pro repair, pro ownership world. And I want to put obstacles in the way of every single individual or entity that wants to drive us towards a less pro ownership world. I don't know if it's going to work, but I guarantee you that it's better than doing nothing. And so far, the results have spoken for themselves. Am I happy with exactly where we are right now? No. A lot of these right to repair laws that got passed, they help some areas, they don't help in others. Some of these bills that get passed, or some of these laws like the California one on ownership, this one isn't even enforced. There's a lot more work to do. But the fact that we got these to begin with means that there is the potential to, if people work together. And the only way I'm going to get people to work together is if A, BlackBerry lets me. He's finally tired. There's some hope. I'll be able to finish the video. And B, if you work together with each other, rather than just going, oh, that's not going to do anything. You're an idiot. What do I say on this channel all the time? The amount of change that was possible if you work together rather than shit on each other. There's virtually nothing you guys wouldn't be able to accomplish if you spent your time working together rather than shitting on each other. I have a 27-minute video on this. I wish you would. I'm trying to get the ball rolling here. The real thing I want you all to do is in your personal life, when you come across a time or a situation where you can actually do something, you speak up and you do something. And you don't assume that this is a waste of my time because nobody's going to listen, because nobody else agrees. And even if they agree, they don't have the power because somebody above them doesn't agree. I don't know when it's going to make sense for you to speak up. I don't know when you're going to have the power to do something. But there's going to be a point in your life where if every single person were on the same page, you could do something that otherwise wouldn't have worked, and change can get created. When everybody's on the same page and everybody is in agreement as to what the problem is, things just naturally move smoother. I've noticed this in my business, I've noticed this with my nonprofit, and I've noticed this with general activism. And I'm trying to get a little bit of that going. I, be honest with you, was not expecting a paperclip to be the way to do it, but I'm not going to argue with what works. I'm excited to continue moving forward with this. We have bounties that we're going to be announcing winners to over the next few weeks. For those of you who haven't been following, there's a foundation that we've started to push back against this called Fulu Foundation. We're looking to work against laws that are on the books that are anti-ownership. I try to use this channel to mobilize my audience about the things that I care about. I've been doing that on this channel for 13 years. I'm going to keep doing it into the future. The Clippy thing was just one of many ways that I tried to do that, and it seems to have been successful. And I'm going to let you know every single time there's something that you can do to help push the movement forward. We're going to be announcing winners to the bounties for both Future Home and Echelon in the next few weeks. There's a smart home company that pushed out a firmware update that forces their customers to pay about $117 a year to get access to what they had access to prior to the company going bankrupt and reopening under somebody else who wants more money. That is going to change. Somebody came out with a solution for this, and I am very excited to pay them out the bounty once we're done just finishing up all the small legal details and everything. I'm going to be very excited to announce that to all of you. With Echelon Bikes, this was something that you could use with third-party applications without having to subscribe to their thing. They took that away in a firmware update. You can't use it with the third-party apps anymore. Somebody figured out a way to fix that buggy firmware update that disables you from having access to what you bought and paid for. I'm going to assume that Echelon didn't want to do things that way because they're honest and good people. So I'm going to assume that that's a bug and that they're going to, who knows, maybe they'll even reimburse me on the bug bounty once it's paid out. But we found somebody to get around that, and we're going to be paying them out a bounty as well, and I look forward to announcing that. I'm going to be doing everything that I can do to try and push forward a pro-ownership world. But all the shit that I'm doing is 0.0000001%. The rest is going to come from all of you. It ain't changing your profile picture. That's putting your key in the ignition. You got to do the rest. If you want to be able to drive and go to work, you got to turn it, you got to drive, you have to not crash, which means keep a following distance. Don't drive like the drivers do here. There are going to be things that I ask you all to do. And some of these things are going to be fun. Some of them are not going to be fun. One of them you're probably not going to find fun is when I tell you to go to consumerrights.wiki and help me edit it. There's a bunch of articles on this website that need improvement. When I speak to a senator about any of the issues that we experience, what's the first thing that an opposition lobbyist is going to say? This bullshit.
We believe this legislation is in search of a problem that does not exist.
Something that's resonated with me is something that you heard early on here is this is legislation in search of a problem.
This is a solution in search of a problem that does not exist. That was a particularly fun one because she was actually saying that this is not a problem, but on her own personal Twitter, she was talking about how her phone died and nobody could fix it. Gee, if only somebody made the schematic available. This is a start. A lot of the stuff I'm going to give you to do is stuff that you're probably not going to find fun. I could use people to help curate consumerrights.wiki. When I go speak to a senator and I have that lobbyist there and they say, this is not a problem, I want to be able to look up, click one thing and say, if it's not a problem, why are there 5,736 verified articles on this with sources? Is that senator going to read all that stuff? Nah, but they may listen to it when they would otherwise throw me out of the room. He's going to give it to the legislative aide, maybe the intern. Is the intern going to read the whole thing? No. They'll probably click through 1 or 2 or 5 of them and see, wow, this is actually well cited. Yeah, he's right. The lobbyist is wrong. Oh, cool. Makes progress. Helps out. That's where we're trying to organize groups of people that not just change their profile picture to a Clippy, but actually help create the best well-curated database of anti-ownership practices from anti-ownership companies. Well, that doesn't do anything. You're just writing about it. It's a prerequisite to doing something about it. And it's work that has to be done. There's a lot more work that's going to need to be done. And if you want to keep up to date on that work that needs to be done and how you can help, sign up for the newsletter. It's over here. There's not going to be any spam, no coupon codes, no bullshit, no selling your data, none of that garbage. Also, there's going to be hell to pay if I even see images in these emails. I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully no images in the emails. I like really basic, Slashdot1997 template kind of newsletters. I'm hoping that you're all going to be along for the ride. Because if you want to live in a society that is pro-ownership, pro-repair, it's not going to happen from one person yelling into a camera if one person spends money on a lobbyist. It's not going to happen from revoking one shitty law. Well, I really do want to revoke that one shitty law. It's going to happen with the help of all of you, and with changing the hearts and minds of people who believe that there's no point in giving a shit because nobody's going to do anything about it. That's the exact opposite of the point of the Clippy movement. The point of the Clippy movement is for you to look around and see, oh man, I'm surrounded by a bunch of people that are going to do something about it. So maybe it makes sense for me to speak up when I otherwise wouldn't have. I hope you do. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now. And with that, it's time to pay attention to Blackberry the kitten. There's nothing she loves more than to fuck with the microphone. Yeah, fuck up those subwoofer users, Blackberry. You're gonna fuck up those subwoofer users, aren't you? Yes. Good kitty. Wanna purr into the microphone? Good kitty, good kitty. Psst, psst. Good girl, good girl. Yes, fuck up the microphone. That Audio Technica I have doesn't even work anymore. You banged it so many times. That was a good girl. You're a good kitty. See you in the next one. Bye now.
We also have the duty not to infringe the IP rights in the process. It is in fact the manufacturers who have the relevant rights, not consumers.